When I was young, I don't recall ever hearing about the Holocaust. I grew up in the Philippines, and the stories I heard were about the internment of expatriates when the Japanese invaded the islands. The mothers of the children I played with had been interned at Santo Tomas and Los Baños. Every once in a while, they would let slip something about the miseries they had endured, and I would have a brief sense of how fragile my privileged and sheltered life really was. Like many, I came to know the Holocaust as a result of being required to read The Diary of Anne Frank in 8th grade. And like many, I identified with Anne on various levels, with her anticipation of changes in her body, with her anger at her mother, and with her desire to grow up to be somebody. However, I also regarded her as iconic, as sanctified. Everyone knew who Anne Frank was. And then one day I was reading about an exhibit dedicated to Anne Frank, and there in the paper was a photograph of her diary. When I saw her diary, I simply was stunned. It was a diary that all young girls of my generation received. Cloth-bound, in plaid, about 4.5 inches by 6, with a clasp that closed the book and the small brass lock. I imagined Anne finishing one of her entries to Dear Kitty, closing the diary and carefully locking it. There she was, in hiding, in danger of being discovered at any time, and yet I imagined she still locked her diary at the end of the day, in the belief that such an act kept her writing safe from anyone who might pry. It was through seeing that image of the diary and the various composition books in which she wrote that Anne became real to me. I was and still am haunted by her, by the faith she had in her selfhood and in humanity, exhibited through the desire to record her thoughts and the simple act of locking up the diary each night. What has really haunted me, however, is what would Anne have said had she survived Bergen-Belsen? What would she have said about humanity on April 15, 1945, when the British liberated the camp? That is something I really would like to know.